Hey crafters, welcome! In this video, I'm giving you the quick start guide to the Cricut Foil Tool. I know that now you've got it in your hands, you're just itching to get going. So I'll be sharing exactly what you need to know to get up and running and my top tips for getting the best results from the beginning. So let's not waste any more time and let's get crafting. With your new Foil Transfer Kit, you will get the tool and 3 blades, fine, medium and bold, as indicated by the number of lines engraved onto the tip. It's very easy to insert the tip into the housing. Just insert it with the sharp end pointing outwards and the internal magnet will pull the blade in. And then to remove it, just push down on the plunger and pull it out. With your Foil Transfer Kit, you'll also get a starter pack of foils and tape. This is the tape that you will use to stick your foil down to your base material. It has been engineered to be a slightly less sticky tape, so it shouldn't tear your base material, but of course you should always do a check somewhere inconspicuous to make sure there's no tearing when you remove it. You do get quite a lot of this tape and it's reusable, but if for any reason you run out or you misplace it, you could also use washi tape, masking tape or painter's tape. So now that you've seen what's in the box, let's put together a project in Design Space. The first thing to point out is that Design Space has been updated to integrate the tools. So now under line type, there is an option for foil and you can select the fine, medium or bold tip. And when you do that, you can then also select the color of foil that you're using. Now when putting together your design, you need to remember to think of the foil tool as basically a pen. It's going to draw in lines. So on my screen, I already have 2 images. You can see the one on the left is a draw line type and the one on the right is a cut. Now if I take the draw image and I change the line type to foil, you can see nothing really changes about the image itself. Design Space is now just registering that it will use the foil tool when you go to the Make It screen. However, when I change the same property for the cut image, so we'll change this to foil, you can now see that it has changed it to an outline. We've lost all those solid areas of color. So remember that you won't get any solid foiled areas with this tool. It's only going to do outlines. So my tips for when you're searching for images, as usual, click the Cricut Access button so you don't accidentally select an image that you're paying for. And then come under Operation Type and change to Draw Only. And then here you'll have all the images which will be compatible with the tool. The other great thing about this tool is that because it is an official Cricut tool, it's completely integrated into the system. So you can combine multiple line types. You can foil a design and then get the Maker or Explore to cut it out afterwards. I'll show you this in action in a moment, but for now, let's set up our design on the canvas. I have created this card. So as you can see, let me ungroup them. I found this image. I've got the ID here if you want to recreate the same card. It was a draw type image. This is going to be our foiled element. Then here I've got the actual card and this is just going to be cut out of cardstock. And I've also got a score line. And just a general tip, if you're using the scoring pen as I do, I usually attach 2 score lines exactly on top of each other so that the machine will score twice and you just get a cleaner fold that way. Before going to the Make It screen, we must make sure to attach all 3 of these different line types so that on the Make It screen, Cricut knows we want to do all of these together on the same mat. Before we commence the making process, I wanted to share a few tips to help you guys achieve the best results with this tool. Have a think about how you want to align your foil on your base material on your mat. If you are doing only one color of foil, I would suggest having the foil somewhere towards the bottom edge of the mat, because once the machine has finished foiling, it will eject the mat out most of the way and prompt you to remove the foil, and you might find this easier to do if the foil is further out of the machine. However, if you want to do multiple layers with different colored foils, then you're probably better off having your foil nearer the top of your mat. And this is because, again, when the machine will eject the mat and prompt you to change your foil, you'll find it easier if you are changing your foils whilst also being able to lean on that drawer compartment that folds out of the machine. This will make more sense when we go through the Make It process. But I want you guys to be aware, as you'll have to decide on how you're arranging your mat before you start the making process. Before starting your cut, make sure you move your star wheels over to the right. As this is a pressure transfer foil, these star wheels, if they were to go over your foil during the cut, there is a chance they could result in some unwanted transfer. Place your base material onto your mat first and then layer the foil on top. Be very careful not to let the foil touch the actual mat, especially if you have a new and very sticky one, as you won't be able to peel it off. It's going to get stuck to your mat. The foil goes down face up, so here you see the gold is facing up. Intuitively, this makes sense, as after the transfer, this is the side that we want to be visible. Sticking the foil down can be tricky, as the tape that comes in the box has a magnetic or static relationship with it, so if you're not careful and the two get too close, they'll stick together and you could end up with the tape right across the middle of your foil. So take this slowly. It may help to place something across the foil and only have the area you're taping exposed. Once you've taped down one side, use the tape on the other side and pull it tight before you tape it down to your base. You want to try and get the foil as taut as possible. This is fairly straightforward to do with these small sheets, but on the large 12 by 12 sheets it is actually quite difficult. If you can't get it completely taut, don't worry too much. I've had it work for me even when there have been some wrinkles. Just remember not to have any tape overlapping where you're going to have your design, because that will then not transfer properly. The tool won't be able to work through the tape. It needs to be directly on top of the foil when it's doing the transfer. If you work with pre-cut card blanks a lot and you want your foiling design to go all the way to the edges, as I have on this card, you might want to dedicate a specific mat to foiling. The only way to be able to achieve this effect is to layer the foil on the blank overlapping beyond the edges of the card, so those areas of foil will have to touch the mat and they will most probably remain stuck there once you are finished. Let's go ahead now and make this project. Here we are back in Design Space on the Make It screen. I have aligned my card so that the top edge is exactly 1 inch in and 1 inch down. This means that I know exactly where on the screen the foiling design will be, so I can see that it's going to start approximately 2 inches down and go all the way down to 5 inches, and in fact the same going across, 2 inches across and 5 inches across. And this is how I have aligned my foil on the mat. Hit continue and connect to your machine. You'll see here that only materials that are compatible with foil are available as options. So out of my favorites, heavy cardstock and copy paper. I'm going to select heavy cardstock as that's what I'm using. Our design is going to have a cut line, a score line, and a foil line. And you can see here in the top left, Design Space has ordered these as score first, foil second, and cut third. Now personally, I prefer to get the foil done and out of the way first. Foil is an expensive material, I don't want anything to go wrong. So we don't want that score line to happen first. And the way we'll do this is we will trick the machine into thinking it's scoring when it's not. What we'll do is we'll edit tools and we'll change the score tool to the scoring stylus. So you can see Design Space is prompting us to load the scoring pen and the foiling tool with the fine tip blade. Go ahead and insert the foiling tool into clamp B, but leave clamp A, which is where the scoring stylus should go, empty. Then load your mat. Design Space will now prompt you to press the C Go button, and it will also be flashing on the machine. The maker is now using clamp A and creating 2 score lines, but as there's actually nothing in clamp A, it's not doing anything and we're not risking our foil getting damaged. Once the score line is completed, Design Space will prompt you to now load your foil. However, we've already done this step. I find it far easier to attach the foils prior to cut, especially with the 12 by 12 sheets. So we can go ahead and just press C straight away because our foil is already in place. Before we do that though, I do want to point out to you that, as I mentioned earlier, if you are going to foil, say in gold first, and then you have another layer of foil in a different color, the maker will eject your mat as far as this, and you can see that the foil is now resting on top of that drawer compartment. So if you did then have to remove this foil and layer another one in the same place, this is an easy way to do it because you've got the drawer as support underneath. If you were lower down the mat, you can see you'd be hanging off the edge and it would be much harder to get your foil on and taut. Press go and the machine will now foil your design. We can really see the benefit of this being a Cricut official tool because now that the foiling is completed, it's stopped the cut, ejected the mat, and Design Space is prompting you to remove your foil and to load your fine point blade. This is great because you won't have any risk of any more unwanted foil transfer. Remember to remove the tape gently as you don't want to tear your base. So just replace the foil tool with the fine point tip. I always do a quick check on the tip to make sure that it's clean, as this is a blade that gets quite a lot of use. Hit go and the machine will now continue on to the cut portion of the make it process. Now that the cut is complete, as far as Design Space is concerned, our project is complete. However, if you remember, we didn't do our score lines in the beginning to save our foil. So we're now going to do the score lines. So what you'll do is you'll load your scoring stylus into clamp A, and without ejecting the mat, this is important, do not hit the arrows that would eject the mat. Press the C go button again. The machine will then restart the whole cut in exactly the same places. So it will do the score lines where we want them. And as soon as the score lines are finished, press the eject button and now we are finished. So that's it. That is all you need to know about your new foiling tool. Good luck, and I'd love to see your creations. So tag me over on Instagram at London Craft Girl and let me know in the comments below your experience of using this new tool. See you next time. Until then, happy crafting!